Every time I mention Brazil in a video, the people just go wild. The Brazilian Magic scene rules. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today I'm going to use a Dealer's Choice donation deck list from Edison to do something a little special. I got a message from Sophia, a trans woman in Brazil, who said, "Hey, I love your content. I play Legacy all the time, but I can't really afford a donation deck list because, there's differences between the Brazilian currency and the US dollar in terms of conversion. But here's my list. Check it out if you want to play it." And honestly, I was in when I saw it. We get to support Brazil and trans rights and death and taxes, 60 card death and taxes, all at the same time. Absolute slam dunk. There's some neat stuff here. If you haven't seen it in action in other decks already, Meteor Sword is pretty disgusting. And when you flicker it with things like Flicker Wisp or Yorion in the Yorion builds of the deck, you can get a ton of value on it. Just having a Vindicate attached to something that you can tutor up with Stoneforge Mystic is kind of cool. This build to me feels very much like, I don't know what Orcish Bowmasters is and it can't hurt me. There are a ton of creatures in this deck that die to Orcish Bowmasters, but otherwise are pretty powerful. And this deck is trying to fit in some of the blink nonsense that you might get from the Yorion builds or the energy decks as well. I have not seen a Spirit of the Labyrinth in a hot minute. It's sort of interesting. There's a decent amount of Storm running around in the format right now, so just having something that says, hey, you don't get to Echo of Eons or equivalent is kind of neat. Again, the presence of Orcish Bowmasters is a little warping on the format. I don't think to an unhealthy extent, but it very, very much changes the flex slots of these sorts of decks. And this is on actual factual Rishadan ports, although not the entire playset. This is a 23 land build, but some of them are Witch Enchanters. 4 Witch Enchanter does sort of feel like a lot. But again, if we're thinking about the combo that's running around in the format right now, there's a ton of show and tell, and having Witch Enchanter that you can put in and have a chance to maybe mess with an Omniscience, or maybe sometimes you could do something weird with an Alurin coming into play, is sort of interesting. As far as the sideboard here, Batterskull has gotten demoted to sideboard play. The equipment package in the main deck is pretty light here, and I'm just now noticing that Cauldra isn't there. We've got Lion Sash, Pre-War Formalware, and Meteor Sword instead. And most of the stuff in the sideboard is then various combo hate cards of some kind, most of which you're familiar with. Although we do have some Spidey? I mean, they are Spidey, but also spicy Cataclysms, which pair with Flagstones in the main deck. So let's go ahead and hop into some gameplay and see how this fares. This isn't 100% at the top of the metagame right now, but let's see if we can get some wins with it. And if you decide you need your Meteor Swords and Spirit of the Labyrinths, or maybe a skateboard from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAMagic.com, and using promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on your order. Let's battle. Alrighty, opening hand does not have mana. This one is an easy mulligan. Well, this hand is... This is a clunker. I don't have a creature to put in the graveyard for Pre-War Formalware. I could avoid taking some damage off Witch Enchanter. Do I want to keep an awkward 6 and hope to draw out of it, or do I just want to mulligan to 5? Take a look at the list. How much of this do I realistically want to draw? Any 1-drop, any 2-drop, Wastelands, or Rishadan Ports. So about half of my draws are going to be good. Alright. Reluctant Keep. Oh shit, this is that player who just ran me the fuck over playing like a 8-cast Affinity aggro style deck the other day. I recognize this username now. I don't remember if they were rocking any spice in particular, but I know that I did not play Magic against them. Ooh, it is a pizza land. I guess it is that time. I haven't played Magic in a few days. I was at a Pathfinder 2E con over the weekend. I guess I was doing Starfinder stuff as well. But I had a good weekend. Alright. Patchwork Automaton is here. We'll see how much it grows. I suspect that I need to Wasteland that Urza's Saga, despite the fact that I would like to get up to enough mana to just nuke this. But I don't think I need Urza's Saga around. Alright, there's Emery. Again, I don't have Skyclave immediately. I can Caracas the Emery out of play, and that's something. Yes, that is the short-term plan. We just kind of tax my opponent's mana. Next turn, I can answer it with a Skyclave. Ooh. Okay, honestly, only one counter. That's not bad. That is probably above average for us here. Mom, not great versus the colorless deck. Skyclave takes 5 mana to nuke this, unfortunately. I think I'm going to go Bam, A3 life, Flicker Wisp, Blink Caracas, so that if my opponent plays Emery on their turn, I can immediately remove it. I, in theory, have a Flicker Wisp that can trade with Patchwork Automaton. In theory, it's very likely that my opponent just plays any artifact to make that not the case. Chalice of the Void. Sure. Chalice of the Void is pretty easy to answer. Do I just want to block with Flicker Wisp and gain 4 life? Put something in the graveyard for pre-war formal wear purposes? I think I'm fine with that. Goodbye, Flicker Wisp. Another Flicker Wisp. So now the question becomes, does my opponent have Force of Will blue card? In which case I might want to bait Force of Will with Skyclave first. Attempt to bait Force of Will. Negative. So I'll take out that Chalice. I think this is fine. Just go bam and bam. And Mom nets me 1 life there. I use 3 to play Mom and block 4, maybe 5 damage. No, maybe not. No, maybe so. Alright. Gain some life. So now pre-war formal wear or Flicker Wisp. I think I am into pre-war formal wear because I can then blink it in the future. Target Flicker Wisp. So now there's a safe way to play this and a riskier way to play this. I think I'm just going to do the safe way. I can blink my Skyclave, but if my opponent spell bombs in response, it's a little awkward. So I think I'm just going to remove all of the counters from Patchwork Automaton here. Paying the ward. Bouncy time? Not bouncy time. I'll go to combat and send in for 2. 16. Patchwork Automaton can come back. I have a Flicker Wisp that can block it. And even if Flicker Wisp hypothetically were to die, I then Flicker Wisp the pre-war formal wear and bring back the Flicker Wisp. Mox Opal. So there is the Pinnacle Emissary coming back. Okay, Patchwork Automaton not coming in, which means that I get a Flicker Wisp attack, which is great. So let's go ahead and send in for 5. That's always happening. Opponent to 11. Do I have any crazy game 1 silver bullet here? Not exactly. I think I'm just going to go bam, Link, Skyclave here. My opponent gets a 0 power creature. Move to end step. Return Skyclave. I imagine this blocking my flyers is more threatening than Patchwork Automaton. And my opponent can get a small creature with Skyclave Apparition. I can Recruiter for some more chump blockers and just hit my opponent in the air twice. I'm probably more worried about something like Kappa Cannoneer coming down and just being unblockable and murking me next turn, which is another reason to take out Pinnacle Emissary over Patchwork Automaton. Ooh, that is the draw a card. If the board state was slightly different, I think I could have considered Recruiter of the Guard. Alright, opponent not getting in there with Patchwork Automaton. Sounds good. Let's start my turn with an attack for 8 and confirm that that works. It does. Opponent to 3. Either one of these is lethal. I also had lines where I moved this so that this can attack as well, but I'm kind of into this. There was a Kappa. Very nice. Since both Flicker Wisps are already lethal... No, this is an equip 3. Okay, I will call that there. I think even if the Urza Saga token gets haste, I just block. Ooh, alright, we get there. GG. I wonder if my opponent could have been more aggressive with offering a Patchwork Automaton trade for a Flicker Wisp. Alright, Wrath of the Skies seems reasonable as something that kills a bunch of my opponent's tokens. I'm just going to pull things that are reasonable out here. Don't know that I want Disruptor Flute or Cage or anything like that. I know that I probably don't want Mother of Runes versus a largely colorless deck. My cards are fine as long as they don't get run over. Like we saw, I don't know, probably about turn 5 or turn 6, I really started turning the corner on that game. Some of my cards are just going to be worse on the draw, like Thalia. Do I have time in the average game for Recruiter of the Guard? And I guess, like, do I actually want Cataclysm? I'm not sure that I actually want Cataclysm. I think this leaves me trimming a Recruiter. A little weird to be playing Aether Vial alongside Clarion Conqueror, but it's a strong enough card that I think I'm willing to accept that. This is a reasonable hand that can bounce an Emery. And then have like Stoneforge for Batterskull, Stoneforge for Meteor Sword. This is fine. It doesn't have the turn 1 removal spell that I would like, but Karakas kind of does the same job. This could be very bad. That is a second Mox Opal. Is 2 mana and Chalice. That's 3 power on board. That shuts off Swords to Plowshares. Seems reasonable. I suspect that a Stoneforge Mystic that resolves will be fine at beating this, but if a Kappa Cannoneer comes down, things get bad real quick. Alright, Pinnacle Emissary proper comes back. I will eat 3 damage in combat. 17. Let's throw down a Stoneforge Mystic. A Force of Will plus blue card here would be devastating. Did not happen. Which one do I want first? Do I need to just kill this, or is a Batterskull fine? I'm going to hope that a Batterskull is fine. My opponent has probably vomited the majority of their artifacts into play at this time. So Pinnacle Emissary might trigger once a turn, hopefully. 4 mana. Are we Otawaraing? Ooh, Chalice on 2. Understood. I will eat this damage. Going to 11. I'm not going to leave up Karakas Bounce for Emery. I think I'm just going to get this out of play. I don't know. Maybe I need these. No, I have 3 basic lands in play. I will pass turn here. Notably, the drone tokens will not be able to block my Batterskull Germ. Everybody is coming to party. Does that mean Dismember? Living Weapon trigger? Or another one of these? Yeah, it is Sink into Stupor. Understood. I take a decent amount of damage there, going to 4. So the drones kill me unless I play Flicker Wisp. I can Flicker Wisp, blink Batterskull. Batterskull makes it so this can't attack. Flicker Wisp can block a drone. I take 3 in the air. And then maybe stabilize. Yeah. Yeah. Blink Batterskull. And I'm going to leave Stoneforge back in case I need another chump blocker, I guess. Things could get weird in theory. Hello, Batterskull. Welcome back. Okay, yeah, they figured that out. That one doesn't get to come in. I have to do this. This brings me to 1. Pinnacle Emissary makes a new friend. Opponent cycles and redraws. So I can do something that answers Pinnacle Emissary. I'm effectively at 5 after Batterskull attacks. Let's make sure this life gain happens. Get in there. Life gain happens. Go to 5. I'm not currently dead to drones. Let's go 3 mana. Skyclave, saying no to Chalice on 2. I don't think I want to Skyclave Pinnacle Emissary, because if I do and the Skyclave is removed, I might be generating an extra body that is bad for me. Actually, I think I'll do this one immediately when I can use it. So I will Spirit of the Labyrinth instead. Shut off Bauble redraws. Urza's Saga comes down. I might be Witch Enchantering that land. I will take 4 in the air. Going to 1 again. Alright. So there's another drone, and my opponent does the thing. So I need to gain more life here. So as long as my opponent doesn't have another one of the sink into stupors, I could like move here and gain 7. That's pretty good. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way that I can get Urza Saga out of play. Cost me Witch Enchanter to do so, and then I only have 2 mana from there. So seems like no. Yeah, I think my opponent gets 1 large creature, unfortunately. Whip to Spirit. Send in. Alright, opponent eats it. Then can make a large Urza Saga construct token, which maybe I Flicker Wisp out of play. Next turn I might be able to like Witch Enchanter and Flicker Wisp, or Stoneforge Meteor Sword Flicker Wisp, something like that. Yeah. It may still be worth doing for the drone token, but that did not do the cool thing that my opponent might have liked. A Kappa Cannoneer. Sure. Ward 4 on that one. I get attacked for 2 in the air that I cannot block. I am at 6. Wasteland is cool. I can force the Kappa Cannoneer to block by removing a Pinnacle Emissary. Without going through all of the permutations here, I'm pretty sure that this needs to happen. That makes a friend, growing Kappa Cannoneer. I might be a mana short of where I need to be. I Flicker Wisp, kill the construct, but then I can't Witch Enchanter. I'm always doing this, I think. I just have to take out this token. This creature has to be blocked. It will probably be blocked by Pinnacle Emissary. Let's see if I'm right. All right, I am right. I go to 13. I think I'm going to be just shy. Yes, I'll use the ability. I'll pick up Meteor Sword. I air quotes return the construct token. But this looks like 13 as long as my opponent can force the Kappa through. I can block with the Flicker Wisp, though. Hot damn. Tightest of margins. Opponent could not get the Kappa Cannoneer through. It's possible that, like 3 turns ago, I had the option to remove Pinnacle Emissary, but I didn't want to risk giving my opponent a 3/3. It's possible I needed to remove it there. These things did start piling up. We barely ended up on the right side of that one. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right, opponent is on 5 cards, so we'll see if they are playing Oops All Spells, in which case we lose game 1, if not the entire match instantly. This hand is slow, but has so much endgame Aether Vial potential. Ah, yes, the joys of Legacy. Oops All Spells. We have borderline no game 1 game versus this deck. I have lost a Skyclave. There is a small chance that this is not Oops All Spells and this is a fair black deck, but, you know. Okay. That was a really good top deck. Let's try to buy some time. There is a Lotus Petal. Alright, hot damn. Vial goes up. Thalia? Thalia's reasonable. Thalia does not tax the creatures. Port always taxes a creature. I think Thalia's fine. Yes. The disaster scenario here is like triple Spirit Guide plus creature. I suspect that if I untap, I win. Thalia plus Port plus Active Vial probably is good enough. Would be my next silver bullet. I could find a Witch Enchanter to blow something up. Or the Labyrinth not exactly doing a ton. Lion Sash has text as well. Lion Sash requires me to hold open a bunch of mana. Okay, cool. Is Vial going up? I think Vial is going up. I hit Spirit of the Labyrinth. Alright, my opponent is just done with me. Reasonable. GG. I think I tick Vile up there so that if I draw a land in this spot, I can potentially Recruiter. Well, I guess I would not be Rishadan porting then. Very important to pick up game 1 here. Alright, basically our entire sideboard comes in. I think all of this stuff is reasonable. Let's assume that Mother of Runes is not important. Let's assume Pre-War Formalware is not important. Lion Sash is reasonable. We don't yet know which sideboard plan our opponent is on, based on the very, very, very little that we saw there. These kill Charbelchers, they're never coming out. Do I want actual factual Swords to Plowshares for pivot creatures? I'm not sure that I do. Solitude might be worse than Swords, though. Solitude is tutorable, costs a card, but can attack in a pinch. If I get rid of Swords, that is still 63. I could probably drop a Flicker Whisper 2 pretty easily. I'm still at 31 creatures. Maybe we do some trimming rather than outright cutting here. Keep the Meteor Sword to be able to blow up lands and Charbelchers that slip into play. I have almost nothing for the game that I am on the draw here for if my opponent turn 1s me. I have a turn 1 Deafening Silence here and a Wasteland. I don't know if that's enough. I'm going to say no. The 6-card hand is just unkeepable. The 5-card hand has the Surgical and no ability to cast any spells. I'll go to 4. Well, alright. I think this is what it is. This is probably worse than the mediocre Deafening Silence hand. 17. Alright, the Deafening Silence hand would be in bad shape after that Thoughtseize. Not like this one isn't. Oh, do we get turn 1'd with Thoughtseize? We do. Joy. 4 Narcomoeba triggers, does that mean no pivot? Yeah, that means no pivot. Opponent is just trying to kill us. Same old plan. And there's the Thassa's Oracle off of Dread Return. That was fun. Alright, is there anything I boarded in that is only good versus Charbelcher? Disruptor Flute has other text. Do I want Spirit of the Labyrinth to turn sideways for 3, or do I want Thalia to blink stuff? Probably similar. Clarion Conqueror is a little slow at what it does. I'm going to say it's still fine. Seems like opponent is now transforming. Okay. This hand has turn 1 Deafening Silence, which makes rituals worse. Turn 2 Rishadan Port, hopefully turn 3 Clarion Conqueror. It's mid. Sometimes I just die. This is more than one non-creature. So sometimes my opponent could just go land drop, Spirit Guide, Spirit Guide, Spirit Guide, Informer, Dread Return is the only non-creature spell. It's unlikely, but it can happen. Opponent is down to 4 cards. I will pay 3 life. There is Deafening Silence. There is a land. There's my opponent's 1. It seems like they are on Charbelcher. So Clarion Conqueror will be very, very good here. Assuming I don't die next turn. Which again, I suppose is possible? No, opponent cannot have 4 Spirit Guides and Charbelcher at the same time. Oh my god. They took so long with their turn that I forgot to port them. Alright, looks like it doesn't matter. Port them now. Luckily Lotus Petal meant that that was their 1 spell. Alright, come on. I'm actively bored here. Give me priority so I can play Clarion Conqueror, you can concede, and then I can find someone who actually wants to play Magic the Gathering with me. Land drop. Clarion Conqueror. Are you done? Want to fuck off yet? No. We are going to continue to play. Alright, no, you are going to fuck off. Fantastic. Hello, Wizards of the Coast. It's me, an exhausted content creator who has been asking for this deck to be ejected from the Legacy format for 3 or 4 BNR update cycles. Get it the fuck out. This shit sucks. Alright, my opening hand is a little slow in that Aether Vial is going to take a while to get going. I have some Wastelands here. I have early removal for something like a Tameo. This is maybe fine. I think I'm just going to Wasteland a Tropical Island rather than getting Aether Vial ticking up immediately. If this is something like Show and Tell, knocking them off this Tropical Island could prevent me from just straight up getting killed on turn 2. Wasteland Trop, see if opponent has Stifle. Not Stifle. There's another Tropical Island. Noble Hierarch. Okay. We are probably not Show and Tell then, in which case I think I will go ahead and just get... Well, I mean... Well, let's get the Aether Vial going. And next turn, maybe I Swords and Wasteland at the same time. There's a lot of variety for what this could be. Like, this could be Infect. Ooh, it is Landfall. Understood. Let's throw this into play. Let's Wasteland the Trop. Daze is no longer online. Is it the Tifa? It's probably the Tifa. It is easy for me to accidentally die to that card. Force of Will. Sure. I'm just confirming I have played a land this turn. The trample on Tifa means that Mom, as a chump blocker, is not crazy here. So there is a fetch in response to the initial Tifa trigger. Let's see if there is a pump spell. There's an Embiggen. Oh my god. 5-6, 10-6, 26. Noble Hierarch is 21. My Mom chump block does not save me. That is a turn 4 through 3 pieces of interaction. Well done, opponent. I need just the tiniest bit more here. I will die at a noble -1 rather than 0. GG. So, do I actually want things that look like this? I'm not sure that I do. It doesn't take a lot for my opponent to kill me, right? Like, Embiggen plus Fetchland is just 1 spell. I don't know that this is great. I think I want this Batterskull in here, and I think I want Wrath of the Skies in here as just a way to clear out the mana dorks. I don't know that I'm excited about a bunch of this other stuff. Lion Sash is probably pretty expendable here. Maybe trim 1 Thalia. Actually, is Mom good? There could be like actual factual infect creatures in here as well. That wouldn't be crazy. In which case, Mom can jump in the front of a Listener Elf or whatever. This is a 6-card hand with a Meteor Sword. I don't know that I am excited about this. I'm looking for removal. That's removal. It's a lot of removal. A lot of times this doesn't play Magic. I just don't hit the second land drop. My opponent eventually powers through. I'm going to call this one a Reluctant Keep. And I will shock in that land. Foothills. An opponent is just passing. Well, I didn't hit the land, but I don't mind the card that I did hit. My opponent will now probably Surveil off a Hedge Maze. There's an Invigorate. Basic Forest. Opponent is just chilling. I will absolutely play an Aether Vial. My opponent should counter this. You do not. Land drop 3. Opponent continues to chill. This is giving me time to find my land. It is possible that my opponent could create a situation where they just go off with protection with Legolas's Swift Whoozy What's It in a way that I can't interact with. I will just proceed to my turn. I'm not going to do a Vial Pump Fake here because I don't actually want them to cast anything in response. This is a little weird. I might just discard rather than activate Aether Vial. Yeah, I think I am just going to discard. I'm going to get rid of Flicker Wisp, rationalizing that I keep this Vial on too. The reason that I don't respond here is that if a Brainstorm goes on the stack, I can flash in a Spirit of the Labyrinth and get my value. And if that doesn't happen, I can throw Stoneforge Mystic into play, which isn't doing anything crazy immediately, but potentially can. It is more land from my opponent. So end of turn, I will activate, say yes. I'm going to put Stoneforge into play first. If my opponent's got a Dismember or whatever, let's potentially have it hit that. I'll grab Pre-War Formal Wear. Leave this at 2. Not quite getting the hits that I would like to get. This is turn 6, and there just has not been a second land in the top portion of my library. I think this time I will tap this and not discard. Now that I have the pre-war formalware, when I hit a land drop, I also get a Flicker Wisp for some flexibility. Pre-war formalware is also a white card that I could pitch to Solitude. There is a Blighted Agent. Sure thing. And we want to kill that ASAP. So here is attempt number 1 at killing it. And on turn 1, I telegraphed that I had a Swords to Plowshares by shocking in my land. My opponent having an answer to that is not unexpected. So there we go. We'll move to the next turn. That stuff fades away. This can stay on 2. Still have not hit a land. Let's attempt a Swords to Plowshares. There is a Force of Will. That will occur. Let's attempt a Solitude. Will this one occur? Maybe not. There's another Legolas's Quick Reflexes. Solitude doesn't happen. So this one is unblockable. I might as well send my creatures in. If opponent has an Invigorate plus Berserk in their toolkit, I will be dead. But they stopped 3 removal spells in a single turn cycle, so, you know, with any land drop, I have one more attempt at stopping all of that. Although the next one would happen on their turn and is a little riskier. Am I dead? There is Embiggen, 5/5. There is Invigorate, 9/9. I will take 9. That is acceptable. 9 is not 10. Still at 20 life, everything's fine. Stoneforge Mystic into play. I will be picking up Meteor Sword here. Meteor Sword. I guess I'll leave this at 2. There's some things like Thalia that are relevant. Alright, there's Flagstones. So, land drop, activate. This one is not impacted by counter spells, so we'll do this over swords, I suppose. Attempt to kill Blighted Agent. My god. Yeah, I mean, that's 3 copies of Legolas's Quick Reflexes. So this now kills me. My blockers don't do me any good. GG's. Decently long game, but we did get bullied there. Win streak broken. GG. Okay, if we are playing a slower game where Aether Vial can tick up, I have a decent chance at doing something cool. We have to figure out whether this is a fair or an unfair Thoughtseize. Analyze the basic swamp art. What do you think? Boomer playing Pox? The land gives. I have been playing Magic for a very long time, energy. I have lost the Aether Vial. I don't want to get Wastelanded off of my only white source here, and I don't want to lose my only white source to a Smallpox. I also don't want Witch Enchanter to be discarded, though. So I am going to play the white source. Polluted Delta? Ooh, it looks like I made the right call for this specific game. Getting your land Thoughtseized sucks. Thalia goes down. Rishadan Port as the pickup. I will just not show my opponent a new card. Let's play the ever so slightly annoying Thalia. My opponent has a Fatal Push style card. Thalia doesn't eat it in this turn cycle in the same way that a Spirit of the Labyrinth does. I have not yet confirmed that they are truly a blue deck. It is possible that this is just a black fetch land that exists for Surveil or Nethergoyf or whatever. I would evaluate my current situation at unfavored. Recruiter is very slow here. Lion Sash doesn't have white mana to kind of repeatedly activate. That, potentially a less scary Surveil land. So what are we thinking? Overlord of the Baelmerk value pile? In which case my Thalia is not great. It'll die to Orcish Bowmasters. And also potentially not tax a bunch of my opponent's stuff. Opponent also actively fetched Shadowy Backstreet into Wasteland, indicating that they probably don't care too much about being Wastelanded in the first place. This smells like Bowmasters. Well, I mean, yeah. Send in. Opponent to 13. Lion Sash? Just play things that are kind of awkward for Bowmasters. If my opponent flashes in Bowmasters on Thalia, I bounce it. If they flash in Bowmasters on Lion Sash, I grow it. Let's see what it is. Another basic swamp. It's Opposition Agent instead. Yes. A Wasteland. Alright, there's Bowmasters. So my opponent could have Wastelanded me first and opted not to. So I will attempt to bounce a Thalia here. Onboard trick. Cool. Onboard trick works. And this means that my opponent does not get their token. You have any other Bowmasters and your goal was just get Lion Sash instead? Nope. Also did not opt to get rid of my Karakas that can re-protect this Thalia next turn. Alright, there's Nethergoyf. I will hopefully do some serious work on my opponent's graveyard over time and make that Nethergoyf less scary. 17. I need more white mana. That is a reasonable Magic the Gathering card that results in me taking some short-term damage, but is very good long-term. Accept? I think I will accept. I can still Rishadan Port my opponent. Yeah? Yeah, you can float a mana. A Sheoldred's Edict. Lion Sash can go there. Ooh. Devastating. I'm taking 7. I have decent tools. I don't know that I have the speed. I suspect that I start here and find Solitude. Oh my god, Opposition Agent. I fucked up. I fucked up. So that turn was instead supposed to be Thalia, so Opposition Agent and Bowmasters can't attack. I take 2. It also shows my opponent in my library. That was a really bad mistake. I don't think I come back from that one. Maybe if I draw a white source next turn. Ah, Moonshadow is what's rounding this out. Got it. Let's trade Z. I'm not really sure how I get through this game. That white land is not going to do it. All right, GG. So I could have played Thalia last turn, not let Opposition Agent attack. This is coming in for 3. Have a few more life points. This Moonshadow will scale up over time. I don't mind Batterskull, Wrath of the Skies. I don't have Rest in Peace, which would be real good here. The Game 1 deck is probably fine. There are a lot of things that died at Bowmasters, though, but we knew that from the deck tech. If I need to, I can play other bodies that don't die to Bowmasters. Moving that over there, how much removal do I actually have? Swords, Solitude, Skyclave, sometimes Thalia, and Flicker Wisp are removal, Recruiter is removal. Okay, decent amount. Spirit of the Labyrinth can probably just go as something that dies to Bowmasters and is not the best at getting through. And then I could sub like Thalia for Cataclysm or something. Or sorry, for Clarion Conqueror. I don't know that I'm going to do that. This hand doesn't really do anything. I don't have anything reasonable that I can put into play to blink. Meteor Sword doesn't do anything. I have 2 duplicate legends. Yikes, I'm also not excited by this. On 6, I'll probably keep it. I get to resolve the Aether Vial, but it's very likely that my opponent can just catch me stumbling on mana here. And they are essentially a mono-black deck, so my Wastelands are not at a premium. Moonshadow. You've got it. Rishadan Port is fine. Moonshadow is very actively good versus Mother of Runes. I can port down this land. In case it's not clear why. Menace. Menace means the blocks are harder. Bloodstained Mire. I guess I don't want to always yield to that, because I am a Swords to Plowshares deck and the life total difference could be relevant. Unlikely to be, but could be. Seems like opponent has another discard spell or whatever that they're going to play. I will let them hit me for 2. Go to 18. Alright, maybe it's a Fatal Push. There's Mommy. Mommy is here. File to 2. Recruiter of the Guard will be cool in a minute. I don't have Jitte. Don't have Jitte. So I can't get and cast something. I think that means that I'm making this land drop and just passing the turn. And the Vial at 2 stage of the game doesn't look like it is going to be overly exciting. Moonshadow grows yet again. Ooh. Well, activate. Yes. Stoneforge Mystic. Yes. Meteor Sword. And now we can leave my opponent with some choices. I suspect that Aether Vial is still the best name, despite the fact that I get the Meteor Sword that can blow up Disruptor Flute. But opponent has 3 very valid targets. I don't think you're interested in this stuff. Ooh, we did save our Aether Vial by activating there. Fantastic. I will be taking 3 from this creature, going to 15. Hitting a white source is very strong here. Vial goes up. Did not. Am I in enough danger that I need to remove this with Solitude? I don't think so. Because Opposition Agent exists, I'm going to go ahead and do this now. Say yes. I just pick up Flicker Wisp? How about Skyclave? Let's do Skyclave. Stoneforge Mystic can get saucy for 1. Opponent to 17. Let's port a Swamp. Opponent has 3 mana. Hey, there's the Opposition Agent that I played around. Very nice. I think I am fine taking another hit for 3. Going to 12. Now hopefully I just hit a white mana source and we're good. Negative. So I can Skyclave something. I don't know that I need to make that decision yet. Let's just go ahead and pass the turn. I can tap down a land. It is an Orcish Bowmasters. Opponent targets Recruiter. I am fine saying no to your token. Throw black. There is a Wasteland. Opponent can use on my Rishadan Port. It's possible it is correct to hold it for if I do find a white source. Ooh, Dark Ritual. Douthie is fine. Goldred's Edict. What am I doing with this Skyclave? Am I trying to open up Stoneforge Mystic by removing Disruptor Flute? I can't easily get to white for Wrath of the Skies to just say no to everything. Killing Moonshadow probably buys the most time. Skyclave. Goodbye Moonshadow. And now my chances of doing something cool with Stoneforge Mystic are lessened. So I will go ahead and sacrifice Stoneforge. Now the Douthie Voidwalker is the most threatening thing. Alright, no attacks from my opponent. I am very likely to Wasteland their Wasteland to protect future white sources on my end. That is a future white source. Goodbye, Douthie. I think goodbye, Douthie immediately. Then Wasteland the Wasteland to protect this Caracas. And then I think I pass. We're trying to now drag this game on until I find white for Wrath of the Skies. Or otherwise take over the game. I have active Mother of Runes versus these attackers. Yes. That is a legendary creature. Also, I mostly play creature spells. Alright, fantastic. I think we are stable. Flicker Wisp. Flicker Wisp does crimes. I think I'm going to go bam, yes, bam, yes. You may have a 1/1 token. I will move to end step, where this will come back. I think I will get rid of Opposition Agent. No Rishadan Port this turn. No attacks from my opponent. Now I can go ahead and get Thalia online. A new Opposition Agent. Absolutely. Move to my turn. A Stoneforge Mystic. So I can bounce this out of play. Thalia Recruiter isn't doing the thing that I want it to do right now. I'd give Thalia Pro Black, Thalia swing in, give my opponent a 3/3, and then set up Stoneforge Mystic nonsense, but Disruptor Flute is here. It may just be better off that I'm fine doing something like this. Bounce this out of play for tempo. Go to combat. Send in with this. Target a Flicker Wisp. And see how my opponent feels about this attack. Okay, opponent is going to block. I can either just kill both of these or tap Mom. I think I am fine tapping Mom here. Go pro black. Kill both of my opponent's creatures. Then move to end step, where the Thalia trigger happens. And I think I will just blink Skyclave and take out the other Opposition Agent. But my opponent throws in the towel there. GG. We're pretty lucky to win that one. That was a really clunky hand on our end, but our deck has a pretty good endgame versus decks that look like our opponents. We just have to get there. Critical moment was probably my opponent's Disruptor Flute that went on Stoneforge Mystic rather than Aether Vial. Like, I baited them to make that play. Because if the Aether Vial gets shut off, I didn't have white mana for a very long time. What's our white source count here? 16. Medium looking opening hand. I don't have removal. I do have a turn 1 Mother of Runes. I'm going to assume that 4 lands is totally fine here. Basic Swamp. Dark Ritual. Thoughtseize. Almost certainly lose Mother of Runes here. Small argument for Recruiter of the Guard in general. Large argument for taking Recruiter of the Guard if my opponent has Orcish Bowmasters as a turn 2 play. Alright, there is Recruiter of the Guard. Odd. Very odd. Alright. I mean, I will play Mother of Runes into Bowmasters all day, because if my opponent doesn't have it, the upside is huge. That is cycling a Straight Wraith, which is probably in the deck for things like Nethergoyf specifically. Hey, it's Nethergoyf. Is it Fatal Push? It is Fatal Push. Alright, opponent has a 4/5 Goyf. I have a Thalia, which we can maybe do some crimes with. I will pass the turn. 4/5 Goyf comes on in. 16. And we start trying to do stuff. Is it Bowmasters? Let's find out. I have a cool line. Fatal Push on Thalia instead. Alright. I guess I Flicker Wisp the Plains. I think I am willing to take 1 hit from the Goyf before I Solitude. Moonshadow. That's a scary Magic the Gathering card. Opponent can grow it immediately by Wastelanding my Wasteland. So I can play Thalia on the following turn, attack for 5. Well, it'll really be an attack for 3. Thalia, blink out, Flicker Wisp, end of turn, Flicker Wisp out, Nethergoyf. I think the Moonshadow is enough of a pain in the butt that I Solitude it and leave my opponent with the Nethergoyf that is just super chump blockable. And let's just do this in the way that minimizes the amount of life that my opponent gains. In for 4. Make 4 going to 12. Ooh. I mean, yeah. Let's just get that going against the monocolored deck. In for 3. Opponent to 13. Untapping with Mom is a really big deal here. There is a Street Wraith. There is a Douthy. That's a scary card. Mom stabilizes the board versus a lot of stuff, but not versus Douthy. We will have to, like, Flicker Wisp block that Douthy out of play. You know? No. No, just... No. Get out. This Thalia is totally good, but we're finding other things to do on the top of our deck that are better. Nice. Alright, no attack. I now get some breathing room to play this Thalia. Or the other Thalia. In for 3. Opponent has dealt, what, 6, 7? This will be the 8th point of damage they deal to themselves. 3 Wraiths are not free, folks. Down to 8. Presumably 7 for the Surveil Land. Bloodstained Mire to graveyard. Alright, Nethergoyf comes in. Presumably my opponent found some removal. I'll make them do it. Okay, it is Bowmaster. Killing Mom. I will now play one of my 2 copies of Thalia. And that'll be turn. My opponent just dies first, right? I can blink out the Orc, take 4 or 5 on an attack. If my opponent trades, I can stay the aggressor or go defensive here. I kind of like go defensive. So send in, Thalia trigger, target Flicker Wisp. I would like my opponent to trade both of these for Thalia now. Nice. Tradesies. I just have another Thalia. But at end of turn, Thalia trigger happens. I will Flicker Wisp out the Nethergoyf to fog for a turn. Bunch of different ways to play that turn, where I can go more aggressive, blink out the Orc token to kill it. There's a Moonshadow. Here is a Thalia. Nethergoyf now returns. Pre-war formal wear, almost good. Now what? I can blink Nethergoyf out of the way and attack for 5 and try to kill my opponent next turn. I think that is my line. Yeah? Yeah? Possible that a block on Thalia here is correct. So that Flicker Wisp is not lethal in the air next turn. There's Vial. Opponent has 5 damage on board. 0 cards in hand. I like my odds. Either one of my threats are lethal. And Thalia is kind of annoying. Bowmasters would be a devastating draw. Bowmasters kill Flicker Wisp, block Thalia. Should handily beat me. We have seen one of the Bowmasters already. Opponent only swings in with Nethergoyf. The 4. Every point of damage mattered in that one. GG's. We are 3-1 with Sophia's deck, so we are guaranteed positive. Go Brazil. All right, my opening hand is very, very dependent on this Aether Vial to do crimes, essentially. As of turn 4, I would say my hand is very strong. Before that, we need a little help. So we are hoping to be playing against something fair that we can just bury in Recruiter of the Guard, card advantage. Ahem. Well, we are along for the ride. Buckle up. We'll let our opponent cast some spells. As opposed to something like Oops, Echo of Eon lines are non-deterministic. They don't tend to bother me very much. Oops is just 4 mana, I win, whereas Storm is I have a billion different places where I can mess this thing up or where variants can go against me. The current Storm decks are kind of interesting. I don't know the exact numbers, but you are seeing a lot of Silences and Veil of Summers and occasionally Hexing Squelcher even as things that go and... What was that? Oh, we are just already to Tendrils. Anyway, that go and shut off the counter spells. Solitude is up to 1 other target creature, so I can't target itself and gain some life here. So my opponent has got this one, GG. And this is where those Deafening Silences matter a lot. Deafening Silence in Grafdigger's Cage and Disruptor Flute is fine. A lot of times Fairy Macabre won't actually do the things that you want it to do in hitting an Echo. I'll still probably play it. Surgical is mid, and there are some other things that I can think about. Let's figure out what we don't want. I will probably just junk all of this removal before even thinking about anything else. Not having Cauldra here is relevant. A bunch of my stuff is just slow. What is Thalia blinking? Recruiters, I guess. I can probably expend a Flicker Wisp or 2 without messing with my deck much. So then we start getting into the, do I want Wrath of the Skies for 0 to destroy artifact mana that is played out, and do I want Batterskull to try to gain some life? Fringe territory. Pre-War Formalware can rebuy Hate Bearers. Lion Sash is really slow at what it does. Maybe do this, and I don't know, Lion Sash is really, really slow at trying to mess with the graveyard, and the priority pass things don't usually work very well versus Echo of Eons and Lion's Eye Diamond. I would like to play first. I would like to have Deafening Silence in my opening hand. As a reminder of the text of Deafening Silence, it is more than 1 non-creature spell each turn, so turn 2 I can, in theory, throw down both Aether Vial and Mother of Runes. Opponent on 5 cards here. Here is my turn 1 Deafening Silence. Oh, that's a plateau, baby. I think despite having double Aether Vial here, I am just going to throw down Spirit of the Labyrinth. Echo is scary. It is possible for both of these to be answered by the same card. Hopefully, that doesn't happen. Opponent says, love to see, the classic D&T got me into Legacy. Me too. That was my first serious Legacy deck. Although, deep Thraben lore. I was actually trading for Dredge initially as a hyper-budget deck. Disruptor Flute is neat. Send in for 3. Opponent to 17. I just want to port my opponent, and when I draw another land, I get Vial going. I think I'm fine with that. 16. And Surveil. You know, it's fine as long as the Deafening Silence is in play. I think I'm still gonna do this. Gift a fish card, whose name I am blanking on right now. Ooh, that's a Burning Wish down. Is a very reasonable way to get some of my permanents out of play. Okay, I don't want that many Aether Vials. In with Spirit of the Labyrinth. 13. And I think I will continue porting despite the awkwardness here of not deploying additional cards. Burning Wish. I might end up Disruptor Fluting whatever the Burning Wish target is. Boomerang Basics rather than the Gift a Fish card. Totally reasonable. Alright, deck. Notably, this is a sorcery. In. Opponent to 10. I can make it cost 3 mana. I think that's fine. Yeah? Or rather, make it cost 4 mana, sorry. We're just trying to defend this deafening silence. I don't know exactly how much stuff I'm holding back, but it's probably a decent amount. Okay, there's another port. In for 3. Opponent to 7. If I play Mom, I can just attack on a 2-turn clock. Or alternatively, hold up Spirit protection. I think I'm playing Mom. We will attempt to keep my opponent from getting to that Boomerang Basics. Rome Mox. Imprinting the Boomerang Basics. Alright, draws are not stellar. I think I attack for 3 this turn and 4 next turn. And hold back Mom for this one. Opponent to 4, but I can go ahead and play out a Vial while still porting. This is just classic D&T gameplay patterns of 10 years ago. Beat down with a single creature while Rishadan porting. It feels good. Now we have to win a game where we are on the draw, and we don't have some cool things like Mindbreak Trap to help get us to our turn 1. Ooh, we got a big old lag burst there. Oh, I missed Clarion Conqueror before. That's another totally reasonable thing to bring in here. Maybe over Thalia. Thalia can blink Chrome Mox. I guess that's not nothing. Is there another worse creature? Pull one of those. Clarion Conqueror does its job, but better. Then pull one of these. Then pull one Stoneforge. Stoneforge is not exactly fantastic. Alright. Reasonable. Okay, this hand is great. It does not have a threat, but it has 2 different turn 1 hate pieces. If my opponent can just go on turn 1, I will almost certainly die. If they can't, even if I get Thought Seized, I still have a reasonable play. There is an LED. Another LED. Please pass the turn. Please pass the turn. It's fine, just pass. Alright, I don't think they're gonna just pass the turn, chat. This is Beseech. Are we going to just have a deterministic kill here with like Beseech into Gaia's Will or something like that? Yeah, it seems like that is the case. There's the Gaia's Will with it on the stack. My opponent does the thing. And now it seems like my opponent should have me dead. You just go LED, Mox Opal, Beseech. Alright, I can see the writing on the wall. We can't do much better than that, and my opponent had a fantastic 6-card hand. Can't be mad about that. We still end up positive in the league. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Totally reasonable, probably not optimal for the metagame. Given the amount of Oops and Storm floating around in the format, I don't necessarily feel great registering D&T right now. In addition to that, Bowmasters is just very, very popular, and this build has some trouble with Bowmasters. It's something that can be flashed in and messed with Thalia, in addition to just killing a bunch of the X1 creatures. For what it is as a 60-card D&T build, this is totally fine and solid. I just don't think current Legacy is in a place where I'm hyper excited to be playing D&T in a competitive capacity. But as far as just showing up and playing a league with it or showing up to your FNM with it, I think this is totally great and fine. I might go down a little bit on the Witch Enchanters. This deck has a really good endgame. I'm not sure that 4 of these is correct despite the utility that they do bring to the table. Those 3 points of life can be very, very relevant when sometimes we were stabilizing at a single digit life total. And I think a couple of times we were at a single point of life when we were either stabilizing or very close to stabilizing. So I might go down 1 or 2 Witch Enchanters. I certainly want to have access to it via the Recruiter of the Guard package, but I might get another Plains or another Flagstones in there if you want to kind of commit to the whole Cataclysm thing. With that, I think I'm going to go ahead and head to the gym, so I hope you all have a great rest of the day. See ya!